I believe that he's being deceptive. I think that he's being, I think he's lying. But also what concerns me is the, how they can use the enemies of our people can use this to vilify the image of the black man in America. And a couple of things that I saw on the news this past week. I saw 2 white women on mainstream news refer to R. Kelly, not just R. Kelly, but another black convict as monsters. Right. When I hear things like that coming out of white people's mouth, especially white females, I'm reminded of all of the black men that have been lynched throughout history as a result of what white women said. You go exactly lying white women. You go to Emmett Till, you go to Rosewood, you could go to Tulsa, Oklahoma, Black Wall Street, and all of those incidents, Scottsboro Boys, all of those incidents were initiated by what a white woman falsely said about black men. So I'm kind of wondering what's going on, and I'm very suspicious. I get suspicious anytime white people say something against black people. I'm just gonna be honest about it. You see, it really should make us think. And Malcolm once said this. He said, whatever white people are for, that's what black people should be against, and whatever they are against, that's what we should be for. Right. So, that's right. In concluding my remarks, I'm not saying that I'm for R. Kelly, because I believe that the brother's conduct as a musician and as a human being is reprehensible, and is not in the best interest of our community, especially our females, whether they be older females, more mature females, or whether they be younger female. Right. Yeah. And I think that we as a community and as a race, we need to come together and put some of this negative behavior, all these bad lyrics, negative lyrics that's destroying the image of our women, we need to come together and put that in check.
That's right.
Well, from a woman's point of view, R. Kelly has only made one song that I like, and that's I Believe I Can Fly. Well, that's because I've always thought I was an eagle.
That's right.
Okay. I'm leery of the fact that they're coming at him, and every few years when black men make money and they are not able to turn their heads by some blonde-haired, blue-eyed white girl, they come after that money in any way they can.
That's right.
So my thing is, if R. Kelly, and you're right, this has been over 20 years since they knew that he liked young girls. But who taught black men how to rape young girls? White society.
You got to get to the root of the problem.
You have white men who they have allowed to leave the country that have raped white women, black women.
Roman Polanski.
Okay, is that the producer? Okay, that they gave a free ride. So my thing is, if the statute of limitations has ran out on most of this stuff, although I know in the state of Illinois they do have a statute about minors being able to file charges against people when they become adults. Stuff that happened to them as minors, the statute of limitations does not hold. But I'm wondering this, is R. Kelly trying to buy a TV station?
Right.
Is he trying, you know, what is he, have he decided in 2018 to invest his money in?
Well, you know, I know he met with Minister Farrakhan a couple times.
Then too.
But you know, his catalog is worth a lot of money, but I don't think he owns a publishing to his own music.
He don't own it, no.
So it can't be that for that.
So, but it depends. It's like with Bill Cosby. The first time Bill Cosby tried to buy NBC, the powers that be killed his son.
Yeah.
Okay, and people want to say about a car, he was in one of them new Cadillacs that the tires did, they said he was stopped by a flat tire, but he was in one of them new Cadillacs that the tires didn't go flat.
Right.
Okay, so, and how did this white girl that he was dating mysteriously show up on the side of the road to find him dead? I mean, you know, I just look at all sides of things, and sometimes what they report, it's not true. Well, you know what? This is what we learned anyway in the 70s. Okay?
Things are being said.
In our humanities class, you know what they told us about the media? If you can't get the first broadcast after something happens, then you're never going to get the truth from media. Because that way they get a chance to put their spin on it and change people thinking to the way they want. And my problem with us is we are always willing to accept anything, too many of us. Anything somebody says negative about us, we are willing to accept it and run with it. And I have a problem with that. Sometimes we need to call people like Celine or Eugene or Cliff and say, what's the spin on this? Somebody who is in the media, who gonna do the, or Randy, who gonna do the research and find out the truth before we make any decisions about anything, but we won't do it.
Go ahead and speak, bro.
It's you know, just a couple things, quick things. I just want to you know, kind of speak on regards to R. Kelly. I definitely, even though I don't there's no justification, and I don't condone none of the negative acts that R. Kelly has committed, you know, and things of that nature. However, there's one thing that comes to mind is that as much as he was a perpetrator, he himself was a victim. He and his brother were molested by his older sister. And you know, that's something, one of the things is being kept on the hush-hush in the black community. Me, myself as a school teacher, I work with children who have been molested. And there's been a lot of brothers who have been molested by women. A lot of pimps have been molested by women. Iceberg Slim, okay, the famous pimp, he was molested by a female in his family. And you know, that's one of the things that helped caused him to be so hard on women. And that's the situation with a lot of so-called pimps. And so, you know, this is something that really seriously needs to be addressed in the black community, all this child molestation going on, you know, whether it's the women molesting the boys or the men molesting the girls. It's something that needs to be addressed.
For some reason they believe, and you know, man, women gonna be calling me on the phone when I get on, right? Because I'm doing the non-popular view. But for some reason, it is believed in our community that if I have sex with you as a minor boy, that you enjoy it, that you are learning. With the same thing would happen if it was a man and you were a minor, they gonna lock you up.
That's a traumatic experience.
Yeah.
But they seem to think that, they seem to think that young boys enjoy having sex. They're learning having sex with older women.
They just
most of the younger women, young girls, look at TV, look at what they see on the dancing things, and they think that that's where their life is supposed to go. Because they're watching all these different stories that we now have playing on TV, daytime stories, even the nighttime series. They're all about sex, taking off your clothes, and they live by that. And another thing is that some of the young girls don't have parents or young mothers or aunties or grandmothers to guide them. They're guided by their big sister or brother. So therefore, they got the TV to teach them how they should dress, act, cuss, and go all these things, because there's no real parent there to teach them the etiquette, the right things and the wrong things to do.
What you never learned.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And you know, the thing is that insights coming from the black woman is always should be paid attention to, because again, I still say that there's no woman on the face of this earth that have dealt and more powerful and the greatest human being that ever walked the face of this earth was the black woman in America. I'm not talking about Africa. I'm not talking about the islands. I'm not talking about no black woman, no face of the earth, but the black American woman, because there's no woman that has dealt with slavery, getting beat, getting sexually assaulted, seeing her children killed, and she still stands right here just like now. And only Almighty God Allah has ordained her to deal and to shoulder that kind of punishment. Now, we're saying that. Now I'm going to put the onus on the men. You ladies, what do you think the black men's downfall or uptick on protecting y'all and protecting your honor? Ladies.
I feel, from my point of view, I feel that most of our men And for me, it's been so many that have failed, have not been there to protect us. I hate to go into a personal thing because I just don't like that, but I know for a fact that men have not been there for us as ladies when we're walking down the street, when we're in trouble even. There have been ladies on bus stops, and even when I was going to school and there were problems going on, and instead of them busting in and trying to help, they walk on past. And that's just really not good at all. This happened a lot of times.
I think a lot of times,
support.
Right? Yeah. In some incidents, what you call by people just walking past, I done heard. I don't know for sure that there's some guys that tried to help women in distress, and they didn't act like they didn't want their help.
Well, that's another thing that's a problem. So a lot of women, I hate to say this, but a lot of women are not women. They're acting like men. They're so independent and so strong and doing so much for themselves that they don't want your protection. They don't feel like you're going to do what they could do because they've been so hurt already. So they're taking on that step like a man. And a lot of them have turned over to be men. For real.
Yeah, Dr. Francis Wilson, sorry for interrupting you all, to add to the discussion that Dr. Francis Wilson, who developed the Crescent computation of white supremacy, who also wrote the ISIS papers, talks about this, about the criminalization and demonization of black people, particularly, black men, by society, and it serves a political and social purpose and economic purpose. It's to neutralize black men and women, and basically to destroy the black family, okay? And Dr. Jennifer Eberhardt, who's a social psychologist at Stanford University, she talked about how when white people see black people, they see beasts. See, it's been the criminalization and demonization of blackness. And that is part of the reason why they despise people. I mean, I have, some concerns about R. Kelly. I can relate to a lot of stuff too, because I know about that. But is R. Kelly the real issue? Or is it, what's behind it? See, and also Bill Cosby. Why don't they talk about Weinstein? See, Ishmael Reed, the novelist, black novelist, who wrote Reckless Eyeballing, etc., he talked about how white folks don't like anybody to talk about white pathology, white dysfunctional family. See, the topic of white pathology is off limits. You are not allowed, so you're punished. If you start talking about white pathology like Dr. Wilson talked about years ago, they punish you. They take away, they destroy your jobs. They make sure you're not hired or promoted, etc. So we have to look at who's behind it. You have to understand the system. See, once you understand the system, the people, and we talk about the system of white supremacy and racism and stuff. There are different types of racism. There's covert racism or invisible racism, and then there's overt racism. You see, a lot of these people, because they're cowards, they have embraced the covert racism. They use hidden, soft approaches. Soft racism. Where you can't hit is hidden. Where you can and see when you speak out, they say, well, I don't like what this sister or brother said. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to find out who they are, where they work, instead of business, make sure they don't get support, or make sure they get fired or terminated. That's what COINTELPRO was about. See, COINTELPRO, the counterintelligence program, the FBI was, hey, we have to prevent the rise of a black messiah who could unify and electrify the black nationalist movement. So how are you going to do that? You have to attack those people who are charismatic. The people who they consider charismatic. Dr. King, sisters who are active in the movement, whether it's Queen Mother Moore, etc., they have to be neutralized. If they're articulate and eloquent and stuff, we have to neutralize them because we can't let them get to the youth and stuff like that, who have been disenfranchised and stuff, and also our brothers and sisters who are disconnected and stuff, and because they want to keep our community fragmented. See, that's the key to their power. The people who control the system.
And they try to stop you. Right. If you're helping, right, and even if it's a small amount, if you're helping to change that child, to change that teenager, they're gonna try to find a way to stop you.
Right.
This has happened.
I can name you 5 young women within the last 5 years that are out here in the movement, and they went after one of them. They brought her son all the way back from Philadelphia to lock him up because he did not give testimony about a fight that he saw on the bus stop. That's just one. And there are 4 or 5 others that I can introduce you to of young women out in the movement that they went after their sons. But we grew up under something called black women raise their daughters and love their sons. And that teacher, that where it came from, when they were selling our children away from us. They even started teaching children that your extended family was your aunts. We know that extended family was created during slavery, so when your child was sold, somebody else's mother would take care of that child. But they changed, confused the history of a people, and you confused it. Why do you think? We got all this craziness going on about stuff that we have accepted that white folks say. Or as in his words, white folks ice is colder.
You know, one thing that I'd like to kind of bring in the center is something that Randy was talking about, and we all overlook this. We all overlook it. We always all overlook what is really going on. It's psychopathic behavior.
Oh, sir.
You know, psychopaths. We are under the rule and domination of psychopaths. You know?
Yeah, you're right.
So how do you think we gonna act under the rule of somebody who's psychopathic other than psychopathic? And a lot of our people have lost their right minds by thinking on that psychopathic level.
You're correct.
Trying to please the psychopaths by doing things that are psychopathic to those who are not infected with the psychopathic behavior. Those who can read and see through that, because certain people have certain wills, and some wills are stronger than others.
That's right.
And the ones who demonstrate their will together strongest are those who, the haves. They demonstrate that together stronger than those who don't have, because they keep us separated and divided through psychopathic behavior.
I agree.
That's great. Okay, well, yeah, well, and then Hanif, you want to take it home, because we run short on time. We want to get everybody out here because it's dark too.
Right.
Okay, go ahead, brother.
Everybody's saying some really great stuff, and I really appreciate what brothers doing here at the Kufi Center, because it sounds to me like it's more of like rites of passages, and that's something that I think that we need to really start pushing back with, and having, you know, our youth be involved in rites of passage, so that, you know, the whole concept of self-identity, what your strengths are, how you partner with other black kids, with other youth, so that you can match your strength with what you may think is your weakness, but that person has that as a strength, and you keep continuing to build collaboration, because there's so much. I work with an organization where we do therapeutic arts programs with kids who are in jail, and we're in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. It's Express Yourself Milwaukee, and there's so much, you know, competition, but it's that false bravado, right? Where, because you don't know who you are, so you gotta kick up crap about, you know, I got these shoes on, like those shoes come from China. You don't know any Chinese people, do you? You know, so all these things that are delusional points of interest, right? But the whole concept of bringing it back to identifying who you are, and, you know, putting cultural values into the kids so that they know there's other kids they can partner with, and they're just not out there on their own with those kind of identity situations.
Okay. Oh, good answer. All right, brother Shani, take us home with it.
Okay, and well, in reference, you know, I was going to comment in terms of the passology of Europeans, Euro-Americans, and Dr. Bobby Wright. That was one of the things that he highly stressed in the book. Right. You know, and how, you know, dealing with people that are, you know, totally mad, basically. But then, you know, you have black people who want to engage with them, get married to them, and that type of stuff. How you gonna marry somebody that's already crazy? You know,
you're gonna eventually become crazy if you're not already crazy.
But also too, in terms of, say, you looking at R. Kelly situation when they started, you know, brought this out to me, it just referred me back to the times of Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, how they were sitting around raping young girls and laying up with them. You know, what type of men were those, you know, who do something to young girls like that?
Rolling.
You know, Brother David, I mean, and fellas, we're here now on the south side of Chicago. We're in the Roseland area. And this is the Wild Hundreds, and it's the Wild Hundreds for a reason. And some of our people out here starving and killing each other. Even when you say the guys shooting while you was on your way here. You know, just think about the work we still got to do as much as we put into this. You know, just imagine the stuff that we got to go through.
Yeah, man, we got like what Brother Dave doing with the Kufi Club, getting them young, and, you know, spitting that knowledge to them as the youth so they stay with them as they grow older, you know, and they can avoid some of the pit stops that we got out there, you know, the pitfalls rather, you know, they can avoid them.
Well, it goes back to what I say all the time, without education and information, there can be no inspiration or motivation. Each one of us have a responsibility to take it upon ourselves to reach out and touch somebody. I don't care if it's just one person, because that one person might touch 10 other people. You never know. But one thing is for sure, we have to carry on our ancestors and realize that this is a job that is never ending. It's unrewarding. If you're looking for fame and fortune, you will never get it. I'm satisfied to know that if I lay down on my bed for the last time and God Almighty says, Brother Salim, job well done, that's enough to set me off.
We're the brothers that's gonna do it. We're the brothers that gotta do it. We're the brothers that's gonna do it.
Is my king, is my one. Yes, he's my father. Yes, he's my son. I can talk to him, cause he understands everything I go through and everything I am. He's my support system. I can't live without him. The best thing since sliced bread is his kiss, his hugs, his lips, his touch. And I just want the whole world to know about my black brother. I love you, and I'll never try to hurt you. I want you to know that I'm here for you forever true, cause you're my black brother, strong brother, and there is no one above you. I want you to know that I'm here for you forever true. He's misunderstood. Some say that he's up to no good around the neighborhood. Well, for your information, a lot of my brothers got education.
Malcolm X.
Sir, what's the real reason why you two men split? Is it merely ideological, or is it personality? What else?
Probably personality. It was not the statement that originally was given by the movement when we split. It's more personality than anything else.
You've called people like Martin Luther King, who just got a Nobel Peace Prize, an Uncle Tom. Is this correct, first?
Well, I'd rather say that in the States, there's a law that has recently been passed, or a decision handed down by the court, wherein if you call someone an Uncle Tom, they can sue you for libel.
Well,
so I never refer to them as Uncle Toms. I would say that Uncle Martin is my friend.
Uncle Martin is your friend, yet you would disagree with his approach to what he wants to accomplish.
Definitely. If his approach would bring about what the black man in America needs to completely eliminate the problem that we have, I would say well and good. But I very much doubt that anyone who adopts the approach that Martin Luther King has been teaching to our people in that country can point to any meaningful gains that has actually served to solve the problem.
Black Muslims have sometimes, whether you have or not, and I think probably you have sometimes, it seemed to me, been preaching hate to meet hate.
I don't advocate any kind of hate.
But there's a lot of talk that sounds very much like it.
No, I think that the guilt complex of the American white man is so profound until when you begin to analyze the real condition of the black man in America, instead of the American white man eliminating the causes that create that condition, he tries to cover it up by accusing his accusers of teaching hate. But actually, they're just exposing him for being responsible for what exists.
Well, that's something of an argument, but I've heard speeches made by some of the people of your group. I think I've heard you make speeches. It seemed to me that you were advocating what I would have to describe, I think, as violence to meet the serious injuries that have been done your people, with which I totally agree.
I don't call that violence. I don't in any way encourage black people to go out and initiate acts of aggression indiscriminately against whites. But I do believe that the black man in the United States and any human being, anywhere, is well within his right to do whatever is necessary, by any means necessary, to protect his life and property, especially in a country where the federal government itself has proven that it is either unable or unwilling to protect the lives and property of those human beings.
Just before Pierre takes it, you've got a pretty good fighter and the world's heavyweight champion lined up with you to help out. Yes, Pierre.
Well, Mr. X, if I guess I call you that, is that the proper appellation,
yes.
Mr. X? I'm wondering if you still believe, as I think you certainly did at the time you were allied to the black Muslim movement, in a segregated black nation in North America.
I don't believe in any form of segregation or any form of racism. I'm against any form of segregation and against racism.
Is it, am I right in saying that the black Muslim movement, which you have left, did believe in that?
Well, Elijah Muhammad taught his followers that the only solution was a separate state for black people. And as long as I thought he genuinely believed that himself, I believed in him and believed in his solution. But when I began to doubt that he himself believed that that was feasible, and I saw no kind of action designed to bring it into existence or bring it about, then I turned in a different direction.
Are you still a Muslim yourself?
Oh, yes. I'm a Muslim. I believe in the religion of Islam, which believes in brotherhood, complete brotherhood of all people. But at the same time that I believe in this brotherhood, I don't believe in forcing my desire for brotherhood upon those who aren't willing to accept it.
Of course, I think the Christians would say that they also believed in brotherhood. What did you say to that?
I'd say they believe in it, but don't practice it.
That'd be a pretty good answer.
Sir, when the muezzin goes up in the minaret twice a day, he cries to the world, there is but one God, and he is Allah. Do you deny that there is a Christian God?
The muezzin does this 5 times a day.
5 times, and I only heard him twice.
Well, you were fortunate to hear him twice. But he does this 5 times a day, and the same God that he says that he expresses the existence of is the God that the Christians profess to believe in themselves, and the God that the Jews believe in. One God, the creator of the universe. The Muslims believe in the God that created the universe, and I think the Christians do, and the Jews do. Now, as long as all of them are talking about the creator, the Jews may call him Jehovah, and Christians may have another name for him. Those who are Arabic-speaking refer to him as Allah. Well, we believe in the same God.
Now, as the Muslim religion advances in the United States, are you modernizing it or sticking with the old faiths? For example, the complete segregation of the sexes.
I think that everything today on this earth is being modernized. Religious principles and practices, as well as political and other things.
Now, when you went to Mecca, this is a very sacred and forbidden city. I tried to get to Mecca myself and certainly didn't make it, not being a Muslim. But how would they accept you as one? You're an American. There are few American Muslims.
This is true, and by being an American and not having not being able to speak the Arabic language, I did strike a snag, a very serious snag, but I was fortunate to have been pretty well known by the officials in Arabia, and they knew too that I had accepted Orthodox Islam. It had been highly publicized in the paper, and I became a guest of the state. I was a guest of Prince Faisal, the present King Faisal, and they made it possible for me to go before the committee, Hajj committee or Hajj court, who examines you and asks you questions about your belief, and if you pass it, then you are okay to go to Mecca. But it's
you would
true.
have to have a translator then.
Oh, I had one.
Yeah, Betty?
Mr. X, since you're split with the Black Muslim movement, have you formed your own group?
Yes.
And also, you say that you don't believe that Martin Luther King has solutions. What are your solutions?
Well, first, we formed 2 groups. The split resulted in the formation of 2 groups. Those who left the Black Muslim movement regrouped into what has now become known as the Muslim Mosque Incorporated, which is strictly religious, based upon the religion as it is taught in Mecca and Cairo and other centers of Islamic religious learning. Then realizing that our problem in America, that we are black Americans and we have a problem that goes beyond religion, we formed a group known as the Organization of Afro-American Unity. And the objective of this organization, it's non-religious, number one, any Negro can belong to it, and the objective of that organization is to bring about a condition that will guarantee respect and recognition of the 22 million black Americans as human beings.
Now, this is very laudable, but how?
Well, by any means necessary. we feel that the problem, number one, of the black man in America is beyond America's ability to solve. It's a human problem, not an American problem or a Negro problem. And as a human problem or a world problem, we feel that it should be taken out of the jurisdiction of the United States government and the United States courts and taken into the United Nations in the same manner that the problems of the black man in South Africa, Angola, and other parts of the world, and even the way they're trying to bring the problems of the Jews in Russia into the United Nations because of violation of human rights. We believe that our problem is one not of violation of civil rights, but a violation of human rights. Not only are we denied the right to be a citizen in the United States, we're denied the right to be a human being.
Mr. X, may I thank you very much for coming on our program and perhaps clearing away some of the cobwebs of misconception that some of us might have had about your belief. And I think you're a very sincere man, and it takes a lot of courage to admit a former belief is wrong, and we congratulate you for that and the service you performed tonight in giving us your views. Thank you so much, Mr.
Thank you.